There's a place to live and a place to love, a place to decide what you love and what you hate, and to not be so indecisive. And that's what I've decided to do. And I started watching Melissa and Joey, which reminds me of Who's the Boss. And you got Joey, who is from Blossom, and you got Melissa, who's a teenage wizard, thinking of Bobber. You put them together and they don't belong together, and they come together, and you got love, you got chemistry. You don't have love at first because they don't really love each other, and you ask Melissa, she's like, ew, not Joey. Joey's my name, like a kangaroo hopping in Australia. Never been there, but I meet some people there, and sometimes they say mean things. They think I'm just a lazy person who doesn't get a job, and the girls don't like Joey if he's just a nanny, because that's a girly job to do. But he's like, oh man, what do I do? How do I pick up the ladies? How do I call the ladies? Where do I get the pickup lines if I want to be honest? I really do want to be honest with a bald head like Joey does, and not like me with a beard and glasses, and he really does know what it takes, but then he wants to be really honest, and Melissa says, well, you don't have to really be honest. And let me say spoiler alerts when I say all this thing. He's a nanny. Oh my goodness. And they're reamping and redoing these like shows, like recycling shows, recycling ideas, and they do that with Star Trek. And you know, you have the Star Trek movies and shows, and then they started making the two newest movies, the Star Trek in 2009 and the Star Trek Into Darkness 2013, and like, oh man, people are like upset, and they're like, oh man, you can't come up with something new, like you know, new ideas. And I'm okay with it. I'm totally okay with it. What do you think? Tell me in the comments below. But now we have Melissa and Joey, and that's like reamping, redoing the show they already had back 20 years ago. Who's the Boss? It's like, oh man, can't you come up with something new? But it is new. It's like, you shouldn't really compare shows with other shows, or people with other people, or anything. You should never ever really, that's what people say, you should never ever compare. Have you ever compared? Have you ever? And I do it all the time, and I think it's fun, but sometimes it could be a bad thing, so it really depends on what you do. But this is a really interesting show, and people say, oh man, how can it be? But it is, because there's conflict, and people don't like conflict. Some people in like Asian countries are taught that conflicts are bad at times, and it can be. Oh man, you could be like a girl if you're a nanny, like a female, like a banana. Oh man, I like bananas, I'm gonna eat one for free here, because a guy lets me have one a day for free. And it's really interesting that like, you can still be a tough guy and wear pink and be a nanny. You can. You really do sometimes need conflict, because you don't have conflict. If you don't have conflict, then you don't really realize that there's a problem in your life, and you just let it sit there, and then eventually it just comes out. It's like holding in anger and then not dealing with it, and then it eventually comes out like a volcano. It's like, you're like a frog or a toad. You're some kind of reptile that's totally cold-blooded, and oh man, you're cold-blooded, and hop in a pond or a lake or some water, and you're there, and the water starts getting hotter, and then it boils you to death because the temperature just starts getting hotter, and it kills you, and you don't know, because you don't see the problems, because you don't see the conflict. And it's better to see the conflict before it boils you to death.